And we're back, and this is part two of the Ishun or poems of EFI literary corpus. And this is part two. You are with Omi Inca 7 and Tribe, and this is Omi's production studio. Thank you so much for coming back for part two. We are going to be talking a little bit about the poems of Ifa. And just as a review for those of you who are joining us, part two of this, you want to go down below and subscribe to my channel, and that's Omi's Production Studio. Tell a friend about me, bring a friend along with you, and tell them that we're talking about establishing our poetry for the readings for the Odu and looking at how to set up an arrangement so you are doing your prayers on a regular basis, and you are now looking at having your home life and the setting become where you do your worshiping. And then next week we'll get into how to set your altar up and basically how to do the actual cleansing of your home so that you can set your altar up and then begin to start to do your own oracle divinations. And when you do that, I told you there were many methods for doing it. It's not only with cards, it's not only with the medium tips, it can be with an energy ore. So we're going to get more into that. But today we're going to be talking about why is it necessary to read poems to get a solution for our problem, and what is the benefit of oracle readings. Now, as you know, oracles are done for the nation. Whenever we have an ordination of a change of our presidential seating elections where new presidents are going in, there's usually an oracle done, a reading done for that election, for the blessing of that particular head who is going into office, a reading done to reflect upon society as to how they fare that this person is going to travel through his election. How is he going to rule? What kind of ruler is he going to be? And what can he look up ahead to see that's going to happen? We always want a foresight of the future. What's in the future for us and what can we expect? So many of us don't understand that these ordinations are done. These are rituals. And a number of Christians have frowned upon these rituals, but they have also perpetuated rituals in their establishment as well. And what I want to tell you is that we are gentile people. If you are indigenous aborigines, you are gentile. You're uniquely made. You're one of the first world people. So you do things differently, and you have rituals, you have caustic records, and you do record the deeds of the things that you're doing so that you can reflect back on it. So it is a foundation to plan for our future. African Americans must get into rituals, else we will have no future ahead of us. And we know that all Africans believe that we believe in the fact that the past because it helps us to formalize our future. And there is no such thing as a future without our past. But a lot of people say, let's leave the past in the back. Let's go away from so much tradition and so much of what our ancestors was. How can you do that without every day that you finish up something, you're working in your past. After you've had a full day's work, that is now your past. So you can only use what you've learned from your past to plan for your future. So we are like the Sankofa bird, always looking in the past, looking over our shoulder to see what we can bring with us in the future. And I don't know if you can see it back there or not, but that is just like a little bit of looking at our past. And it says, we make a dwelling in the evening in which being there together enough. So I guess this little writing, it was from a poetry month, and it is talking about the academic American poets. And that little cliche is helping us to know that birds represent, our eagle represents the highest flying bird that actually can soar and carry our wishes. So what we're looking at is planning for the future and rituals. Rituals are very much desired and are used in the African traditional faith. And that is why I'm so fond of it, because it brings back remembrance. It brings everything to remembrance. And when you have a glimpse of your future, you can best plan and you know what to plan for. When babies are coming to this earth, you want to know under what circumstance are they coming into the earth. Is the climate, is it turmoil? Did the baby come in during a settled climate when the earth was settled and it was still? Or did the child come in under tormenting calamities? And as we look at under what conditions did Jesus come here? The wise men, they consist that Jesus was coming through the stars that they looked at, and they brought incense and myrrh. So we all like looking at the forthcoming of Christmas, Santa Claus coming. It's an anticipation. So when we bring in the Bible laws to do the reading for these political parties that are changing seats, we do that so that we can give it a better climate. As I told you about numerology, the number 8, a number of women used to wait and tried to hold off on delivering their baby until the 8th of the month, because that was considered a lucky number, a number of new beginnings for them. And that number was so powerful that people even used to take the number 8 and put it in their wallet with their other money and put it between their money. And it acted as a way of reproducing that money, duplicating. So with the poetry that I'm about to talk about, these poems were begotten and created by some elder who was well informed, who had clairvoyant ability to see into the lives and look into the future. So these poems can be stories, they can be epics, they can be short epics or long epics. As I told you, they can start from 4 standards or they can be a maximum of 8 standards. But these poems are memorized and they're in a book called Odu. You might want to go out and get a book called the Odu, because all these poems are in there with the actual markings indicating the exact poem. And some of the poems that are short, they speak right to the occasion. So if someone's trying to find out, well, my husband left me, why did he go? Did I do something wrong? In those epics, it would tell a story and it would unwound the story and cover the circumstances of that particular person. A man left. Then they would immediately say, oh, this is the Odu for her. She has a situation of the man leaving. But don't be too hasty, because you have to read yet through that poem to see what the end is going to bring. And that's what the young lady may want to get clarity on. What is the outcome? What must I do? Why did he leave? We need answers. And unfortunately, we can't go to the church and ask the church, can you give me answers situation? And usually the preacher, the apostle may say, well, I'm going to pray on it. Let the church say amen. We're going to pray on it. We're going to have prayer meeting next Thursday and we're going to pray on it. Now, that may not be soon enough. That person may need answers today, immediately, like yesterday. So they don't have time for you to pray on it. They need to have a clear understanding of what to do now in this century and time. So they need an oracle reader, or they need a Bible law, somebody that can bring to them solutions right now faith. So the church should have already incorporated this mechanism of oracle readings in the church, because the church is where everybody goes for solution. But yet there's nobody there that's a reader, an oracle reader, that no one that practices reading and will not use it because it is anti-Christ, against Christ. How do you know it's against Christ? Is it because you think Christ did something else when he did his magic? See, you are misinformed. Christ was using all of these modalities and metaphysics to create water to wine, to even go and walk across the water. All that was done through metaphysics. Christ was already into metaphysics long before any of you black people were. As a matter of fact, most of the metaphysics came from the black people, so they have already diagnosed and proclaimed that Jesus had to have been black, because most black people dabble in the ritual reading of clairvoyant information and getting readings. Now, here lately, the white folks have caught on that those black people must have some knowledge of understanding what's ahead of me, and I need to go to somebody that know what they're talking about. So a lot of them have made trips all the way over to Africa to find these great Babalawos who could do the reading for them, and they got their pennies together and money together, and they paid the Babalawo, because no one sees the Babalawo without paying. And it is written that you must always pay the Babalawo when he does a reading, when he gives you an Odu, because see, you pay the Babalawo. Now, I don't charge for any ritual reading. I don't charge for that. That's why I don't do the Odus, because it is written that you should pay for the Odus. And I don't see the reason why I would start a business collecting money for someone for me to tell them about themselves. So I tell them to go to a Babalawo because he inhabits your fees. He wants to be paid. He has the business going on. I'm not running a business here. This is a service that I'm offering to the public. That's why I want you to get down pat, understanding Odus, OBs, being able to get a glimpse into the future for an immediate answer that you might need in your family overnight, so that you can take care of business, so that you won't overlook things. Remember I said that Oromala is the only one that can alter the day of death. So you might even want to speak to Oromala. Is this person going to die? Will this person perish? Can you give me an answer? Because I don't want to see this person transition. So you want to go to Oromala and say, Oromala, can you extend this person's life? Can you prevent this person from expiring? You're the owner of death, and you can alter the day of death. Can you alter the day for me? That's why you should always be in a praying spirit and praying without ceasing. And that means it doesn't have to be an audible prayer, but a meditation, meditating on the word both day and night. Now, I had a good foundation of the biblical teachings of the Bible, enough to know that these are stories that go around in circle. But somebody in that Bible consulted a so-called witch to get information. They called her a witch, but it might have been a Babalawo or a priestess that they consulted. And ever since then, the church has always said to watch out for these people who have the ability to give you a reading, that they're all bad. That is not true. They are not all bad. Sometimes they can save your life or your loved one's life. So be reminded that particular thing where Saul was seeking the influence of a witch was all distorted. And here lies where they distort things in the book of the Bible to make you think that anybody that is doing reading, that they're a witch and you must dispose of them. No, you must not dispose of them. They are supposed to be the bridges in the community, and they're the path to keep the communities in harmony, so that there's less distress in the community. And you do not harm these people, and you do not go after them. The church was all wrong for telling someone that. The church has always been wrong, but yet they go in the basements and they exclude themselves to readings and oracle and OB and all of it. And they even bring in their soothsayers and they get answers and solutions, but yet they hide this from the church and tell you it's wrong. I'm saying what they have done is wrong, and they have hidden this from you. That's why they haven't given you true answers to help mend your broken heart when you come to them with real issues. See, IFA doesn't hide this. It's a part of the way of life. It's a daily tradition and ritual that's done on a regular basis. So it's not something that's hidden and done in the dark and frowned upon. So therefore, once you get that clearly through your head, you will seek oracle reading, and you will seek to get Odu, and you will pay for your Obi. You will pay for your Odu, whatever the sacrifice is, because the sacrifice has been made to give you this reading. It used to be a time when most of these divinees who actually were reading, they had to live in places where people would not come and disrupt them or harm them, because they saw these people as being shamans and soothsayers and witches, and they wanted to dispose of them. But not anymore. People's problems are too great. They need an answer, and they need an answer from those who know. And they don't need someone who's playing around talking about, we're going to call on Jesus and the Spirit is going to come and do this and do that. They can only say what they hope to believe, and they don't have the tools to work with. They're just using a mediumtist, and the mediumtist and a behavior modification as prayer. Any type of oracle reading is a behavior modification. You are doing something to alter the changes of your life. Because once you find out when you know what the problem is, now you find out the solution, and you begin to come up with ways that you can satisfy that 200 plus 1 on the left side. Because God wills 200 evils as well as he wills 400 evils, 400 positive. So therefore, you must understand that God allows evil to exist in the universe with good. So there's no devil, but there is good and evil. Just as there is good, there is evil, and they're in duality. And you have to pay a cost, a sacrifice to get evil off you. And evil will give you some space and a little more time. Now, we are going to bring this to a close, because we are losing ground here, ladies and gentlemen, or we're going to possibly take this into, let's see. Okay. All right. Okay. The battery is going down here. Okay. All right. I got my ears back on. All right. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, what we were just saying is that it's very important to understand that a number of people are not informed about traditional oracle readings. You have people that pretend like they are not familiar with it, but they really are. And there are some apostles and some preachers that are very familiar, who's gone to all kinds of training, but afraid to introduce it to their church. For those of you who are really interested in having a clairvoyant reading or learning how to perfect your gift as a clairvoyant person, you definitely need to practice it. And you don't want your gifts to be dried up and disillusioned about, and you don't want anyone to tell you that we don't do that around here. And you might need to formalize your own setting in the home where you actually are performing these rituals on a daily basis, and you're reading oracle readings on a daily basis, because you must practice in order to perfect them. Now, let me also say that this poetry could be a story. It is an epic. And most of this poetry that you are going to be reading is going to be a story about a clientele. And it can go on and on. And while reading this story, you'll say, now, where are they going with this story? You may find another Odu that is more closer to the client's situation, and then you read through both of them and study them. But if you've already read these poems ahead of time and know them by heart, then it'd be a lot easier for you to have an ear to hear and say, oh, that is exactly what is going on in the client's life. And this poem fits. We're going to use this Odu. But it must be a trained person with a trained ear who's heard these Odus before and have read them and committed them to memory. But it's not necessary that you have to commit them all to memory. But for those who have had practice in reading these poems, they're going to be more proficient. Now, let me also say that you must understand that with this comes a responsibility. Once you read the Odu, you must caution the practitioner that he must follow and go and perform this sacrifice. And the sacrifice might be to purchase something, to buy something, to have another fowl, shedded blood. But the fowl is usually eaten, it's not thrown away. So it's not a wasteful situation where you're killing animals just for the fun of sacrificing. It's very vital that you should understand that the devotee who's in practice must learn about the tools that are available, like the I Ching chains that I told you about. Those are the cowrie shells with the chains on it that will do the reading instead of throwing down the I Chings. I Chings can be found at a specialty store or ordered online. And if you are not ready to practice these things, there's no sense in you in investing in them right now. But go to a Babalaw who's already bought the Ipan's tray and who has all the Ipan's powder to work with that literally will help to do the reading. So it's very vital that you understand that you don't want to do the work of the Babalaw when you're a novice. You want somebody to know what they're doing. Now, as far as you practicing how to do your OB, when you do your OB, you literally do your OB to get an understanding of a yes or no answer. And your OB is literally to help you in a circumstance where you need answers right away, okay? And it's very vital that you not get into anything that's over your head. Go to your Babalaws or your priestess or your priest and ask them if they can do a reading for you. But this poetry book, you can purchase the Odu book and start reading through the Odu book and get an idea of what are these stories about? Who are they about? How ancient are they? How old is this religion and how far back does it go? Then you can get very familiar with the epics and the short stories, the short poems and the long poems and have an idea. I wanted you to understand that today so that when you hear people say, I want a reading, you have to know what you're asking for. And a lot of times people say, well, I've been wanting to know, where I came from, who is on my father's side, who's on my mother's side. Can you read my caustic record? Now, there's another type of reading where caustic records are done, where they pull up your caustic records to tell who you were in past lives. A lot of people have that done so they can locate their parents or their families and loved ones, and they go and pull these caustic records so that they can get an idea of where the person is going and why this person is having these nightmares and what had happened in her past and who was she in a past life. Was she many different people? What type of person was she? And what characteristics did she have in her past life? Sometimes this is necessary so you can clear up some problems in your life if you're having some turmoil and some bouts with past life regression. So you have to go to a specialist who knows what they're doing. You just can't go to anybody that said that they're going to read your past life history. They must be able to prepare that. And that is a lengthy process of going back into your caustic record. So make sure you read up on these people and that you have some information about this person's background and profile, that they know what they're doing. Because you could get somebody that's a hoax and that really don't have the years of experience and really will take you for a loop and don't have the skills to give you a decent reading. So I want you to understand that these things are very vital and that under circumstances, you have to um, understand that churches don't know anything about readings. They don't know anything about oracle readings. And churches will not tell you if they do know. The churches will literally let you think that they're not familiar and they will go somewhere off with their clergy and have a special reading done just for them. Yes, it is wrong because they're not sharing that knowledge with the church and they're pretending that they are against this type of a methodology, and yet they're using it for themselves and their own personal use. But I want you to be well aware of the fact that an altar is in order. You just can't just go every day without setting up an altar and erecting an altar when you're praying. And you want to do something simple like 4 glasses of water and put all of your ancestors' names on a sheet of paper, the ones you want to acknowledge. I usually keep the obituaries of my ancestors and I put them on my altar. And I call their names frequently. And whenever I do prayer, I call out their names. I do their names. First, I do Olodumare and the two that are Orishas that's on my mother side head and my father's side. And then I call my ancestors' names. And I usually keep their obituaries and I remember them and I keep them on my altar. And then I also, not only in just having the water there, I like to have flowers there. And I also would like to have a cigar there, something that's fermented to go on my altar. And then I may have an actual statue there, an African statue of some kind. And also pictures of my loved ones. If I don't have the obituaries, and I have snapshots of my loved ones who are deceased. And that altar sometimes can be grounded on the floor with a circle drawn around it with chalk and covered so that everybody's not going to disturb it. Now, if you don't have the ability to put it on the floor, you can put it in a windowsill and you can put it in a cabinet. But periodically go to the altar and do your prayers there. And as I told you, that in IFA's faith, they are inhabiting our prayers. God wants you to come and pray in the morning, come and pray in the evening. So there is a morning prayer and an evening prayer that has been formulated and written for those devotees. And as I told you, there's a calendar that is made when IFA's practitioners and devotees, they come together and they pray on particular days of the month. And they pray a corporate prayer, so it's more powerful. So you must understand that the dead is not dead. We do not believe that energy can ever die. Energy, we are nothing but a frequency. And God is combustible fire. He is all ratified fire. And we know that we are frequencies and we are mechanically made. So it's very important to keep our frequencies high because we know we vibrate. And when we vibrate our hair, our ninth ether even vibrates in our hair. There's ether in our hair. In human hair, there's ether and it vibrates, okay? And we must understand that in setting up our arrangements, we're now getting our life together because we are depending on our poetry readings, which is our Odu, and we normally want to practice our prayers on a daily basis and getting an oracle reading on a daily basis when you first start to get familiar with how all this is done. Now, all things given, most of all of the religions were created by the African. Even with looking at the Buddhist faith, it is a lot like the traditional African faith. And they said that Buddha, Jesus was actually the Buddhist, and he was over in India practicing. And therefore, so it's interchangeable. The fivefold path of the Buddhist is similar to the following the commandments of God. Now, as you know, in the African faith, we know that righteousness begets more righteousness, and we know that the commandments are not something that the African tradition goes around preaching, because we know that the letter of the law will kill it. However, we do have tendiums that we believe in, and we know that there is something that IFA tells you all the time, that they are looking for you to have Iwa Pelu, good character and good conduct. And that's not the only thing. There is a way of life and a practicing that through reading the Odus, it would give us a solution for the paths that we should take. Because we don't want to become corrupted and lovers of our own self just because we have an African tradition and a faith. We want to have rituals and routines, and we want to make sure that we're living upright. So it's very vital that you should get to know the Odu book and learn everything you can about the Odus. These are where the stories are told, the poetry, the epics. And as you get to know those things, now practicing even reading the energy of your reading the energy of your loved ones and those that you have close relationship with, and start depending on your ability to read their energy and trust yourself, okay? Because you are a manifester. You can manifest things into your life. There's things that you have been manifesting, women, for a long time. You have manifested those lovers in your life. You have manifested the next boyfriend in your life. You are a manifester. You can manifest the things good that you want to happen in your life. And don't think you can't, because you have the ability to call alchemy to you. And on your altar, I always suggest you have energy of alchemy on your altar. I always suggest that you have money on your altar, and you set that money on the altar, and that energy of that circulated money that you have on your altar will draw other money to it. So it's very important that you understand that you're not just doing magic, you are working with your gifts, because when we came to this earth, we were aliens, and we still are aliens, and we still have the ability to use our gifts that we have been given, and our gifts have been given without repentance. And we should be able to utilize in a situation where we have to act immediately. We should be able to meditate to get to tap into God's own mind and get to know the mind of God to give us direction for our life. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I've been talking for a while now, and I want you to understand that I want you to be a subscriber. Go down below and subscribe to my channel, and also go to my Facebook and become a follower. And don't hesitate, because we're going places and we're doing things here. Now, I talked about you setting up your own ELE, your own house. Yes, set your house up so that you can invite somebody over, like your family, once a week to talk about the traditional African faith. What is it all about, and how is it different from our traditional Christian faith? And how will we get in contact with our ancestors, and how can we tap into their melanin, and how can we be a better community, and we can be able to fellowship together with the family. It's very vital that you should understand that, because the family is going to worship in spirit and truth, and you're going to lead the pack, and you are going to show them if they have any problem. You can come to the circle, and we will work it out together as we bring in a Babalaw or priestess to guide us, and they can help you set up your Ile Ife so that you can start the process of having a meeting once a week with your family, and you are addressing the issues that might beset you. And it's not going to always mean that you need an oracle reading done. You might even just be able to look at the water and the ripples in the water, or you might be able to look at the chakras on the body if you are into chakra reading. And if you have the ability to send energy, you can send energy to a person to help them in a situation. Now, you're going to have to get into some of this thinking, because a lot of people say, oh, that's Antichrist. I cannot get into that information. A lot of people say, Oh no, that is information that I cannot use. A lot of people will say that I do not want that in my life because that's wicked, that's witchery. You got to get to the clear understanding that you need tools, and it's not always walking around with a gun in your pocket. Nowadays, everybody's got a right to conceal weapons, and they're walking around with a gun in their pocket, and they think that's the solution. That is not the solution to solve our problem. It is to consult our ancestors and to allow them to give us a way of escape. And we're going to have to get to that because so many other people on these streets are carrying these guns, and we got to show them what to do with their weapons. We got to call on the Almighty Spirit, and we got to speak to the Spirit to take the guns away. Take them away from them where they have no authority over you, because guns kill. They do not bring people back. They don't want to rationalize. They don't want to talk things out. They want to annihilate you. And that's what their mind is all set on, is annihilating the opposite human being. And they are not out to save lives, but to kill people. So we've got to get our caustic records together, and we got to get our toolbox together and our powerful words so we can use powerful words on those that are toting pistols to let them know that our weapons are not carnal through the pulling down of the stronghold, and that they can't beat us at our own game because we have the power in the tongue, and we must use the power in the tongue, and we must begin to show others that that is the best way to work. And we're not working magic on anyone. We are just going and using our ability to speak so that we can use power with our words. Now, some of you are clairvoyant and don't know it. Some of you are dreams, you're dreamers. And some of you are not just soothsayers, but you're powerful workers in the spirit. And I'm calling you to use your spirits today and to become powerful. And I'm also calling you to be able to take your gifts and use your gifts so that you have authority and you have power. But it's very vital that we understand that we are the people who have came here to do a work, and we have a job to do. We have a special job to do, and we are those people, and we are the ones that they've been waiting for. So let's not forget that we are the people that are unique, and we are the ones that have the powerful words. There are many powerful words that are in the Yoruba teaching that they will be teaching on, and how you can use fiery darts to stop an enemy. But the main thing is that you want to know the poetry. You can recite the odus and the poetry, and that is very powerful. And those are things that I wanted to give you today. I hope that I have been of some help to you today. This is part 2 of looking at the poems for the EFA poetry. So I hope and trust that you will be able to utilize that. And thank you so much for going with me all the way. And don't forget to subscribe down below and ring that bell, because that'll let you know when I'm on next. And the next feature show, we're going to be talking about how to set up your altar and how to bless your altar and bless your home. So thank you so much. Have a great day.